wanted to give you great kudos, both you and Juliana, for organising the Canadian Tech Women event, and I hear that you're going to do that again next year, which I'm really thrilled about, that you're supporting Canadian tech women and entrepreneurs. And I just wondered, do you have any figures for how many female entrepreneurs compared to male entrepreneurs there are in Canada? Like, are there any stats at all that you guys would have access to?
Well, we do have some figures. I mean, it's always a little difficult with numbers.
Yeah.
They tend to refer more to self-employed.
Okay.
As opposed to an actual definition of entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So I think we have about 900,000 women who are self-employed in Canada.
Okay, and how would that compare with the male population there?
Quite a bit. I think it's about 1 in 4 of self-employed.
Okay.
1.7 million male.
Yeah, 1.7 million. Sorry, So perhaps it's about half.
Oh, that's really good numbers.
Yeah,
isn't
I
it?
think they are good numbers, although it's really hard to discern exactly how many are entrepreneurs.
Yes,
as opposed to, you could be a bookkeeper working at home or
consultant.
A consultant.
Yeah.
So not really in that startup world.
Yeah, but still nice to see so many women in business, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd really love to know more about the fabulous initiative that you've initiated, Tech Women Canada. And as you know, I'm all for supporting female entrepreneurs, and Canadian entrepreneurs have reached out to me and asked me to see what I could do. So it's really a pleasure to be interviewing you. Could you tell me a bit about the initiative then?
Sure. One thing I should say up front is a big part of our mission at the Canadian Consulate General is to assist entrepreneurs and startups in Canada to access this global innovation market that we find ourselves in Silicon Valley. And since becoming Consul General, what I noticed is just how few women were coming down as part of these delegations that we are continuously bringing in startups and delegations into the Valley.
Yes.
Under a number of different programs. So I had just observed that, and I think everybody sort of observes that about the Silicon Valley. It's a very male-dominated kind of culture. And so last fall, the Women in the Economy Summit was held here, and it was sponsored and hosted by Secretary Clinton. And she gave a really powerful speech talking about just how this global dividend is ours for the asking if we could just unleash women's creativity, women's access to capital, to labor markets, that we really have to look at it as we're actually constrained in terms of our economic growth because of the barriers that women find in their way in terms of just entrepreneurship, in general employment, the whole kind of economic side of women. So I found that to be kind of a rallying cry. So she asked everyone in the audience to go back and think about this and to look at their own operation. So when I came back, I was inspired, and I said, we should do something like, that would be focused on women, like a Tech Women program.
Yeah.
And I should just give credit to the fact that the Department of State does have a program that they've linked up with countries in the Middle East, where they have been linking entrepreneurs in the Middle East to American entrepreneurs. So that was kind of a model that we were also influenced by, which is why we decided to do something where we would focus on women entrepreneurs and bring them into Silicon Valley for a really intensive week-long program.
Fabulous. That's really good. And could you talk about some of the challenges that Canadian female entrepreneurs face that you know of? I guess you would have learnt a little bit from this initial program, if not earlier than that.
I think that they face the very same challenges that most entrepreneurs do.
Okay.
And that is, accessing capital, accessing talent, the right talent to flesh out their management teams, benchmarking and ensuring that they're situated well in terms of their competition. The whole question of scaling, and I don't see them as having really different issues.
Okay.
Except for the fact that it might be that they have fewer contacts or connections.
Networks.
Which is what
Okay.
networks, right? So
Okay.
the networks might be different.
Okay.
Or they may be starting businesses in areas, like we've had some pretty interesting entrepreneurs who are starting business more in that domestic, family, children space.
Mhm.
So they're always looking to expand networks.
Yes.
But I
yes.
don't see them as having anything that's really unusual or specific to women.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Mhm.
Canadian entrepreneurs have suggested to me that many Canadian entrepreneurs come to the US, particularly Silicon Valley, to get funded. Is this a real issue? And apart from Tech Women Canada, are there other initiatives in Canada to support your startup culture?
We do have initiatives in Canada to support entrepreneurs. We certainly have a number of regional economic development agencies.
Yes.
We have a lot of different programs that are aimed at supporting small business.
Okay.
Is how we used to call it. Now we call them entrepreneurs. So there is a fair amount of support for that. And in fact, we used our contacts in Canada and a lot of the networks that support women
Mm-hmm.
to assist us in bringing really and helping us select the women to come down on this mission.
Fabulous.
In terms of funds, that is a kind of perennial request for entrepreneurs coming into Silicon Valley, but we work with them to ensure that they've got a full program that's not only focused on raising capital.
Great. That's pretty wise, I would say. It's been suggested that the more female investors there are, the more women startups that are funded. And I did put together with a Malaysian female founder an infographic, the first infographic actually on women and venture capital and
really?
female
Okay.
venture capitalists, and that was one of the pieces in the infographic. And I'm just wondering, are there many female venture capitalists in Canada?
We do have a fairly vibrant VC community in Canada, but one in which the government wants to actually strengthen and expand
Okay.
that industry. In fact, we just had the Minister of Finance here last week.
Oh.
But at the same time, we do have women VCs in Canada. We have Canadian women VCs here in the Valley that are
Yes.
part of our famous C100, this
Yes.
group of expats here in the Valley that we work very closely with.
Yes.
So there are women. I think there's one called Beehive Holdings, which has a particular focus on raising funds to invest in women entrepreneurs in Canada.
Fabulous. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we do have. I think we have a similar kind of a mix as what I've seen here in the Valley.
Okay. And what needs to happen, in your opinion, to promote a thriving startup community in Canada and stop the leakage to the US? Because that's something that the Canadian entrepreneurs that I've spoken to have suggested, that everyone sort of leaks out here, and particularly with the RIM problem coming up, they're thinking that a lot of people will come to the US. So I'm just wondering, what's your ideas personally?
Yeah, personally, I don't see it as an either or.
Okay.
What I've seen is our entrepreneurs who come down, we actually have means to keep them here for a few months, so they really do get a chance to establish some networks, as I said, which I think is important, is to benchmark their own technology against the world-class technologies here.
Yes.
And to raise funds, to network, to attract their own kind of talent. But one thing that I've noticed and observed since being here is that many of them maintain their head offices in Canada. So, and like so many, large and small corporations in this world, they have some presence here. So, Nokia has a presence in Silicon Valley. Well, that's at a grander scale.
Yeah.
But even in small startups, there is a tendency to maintain their head office and also their research and development in Canada.
Yes.
For a couple of reasons. One of them is that Canada has very, very generous and probably some of the most beneficial tax credits for research and development.
Wow, that's great.
And also, we have a real abundance of talent
Yes.
in the area of
Undeniable.
engineering and technology or marketing,
Yes.
and some say more affordable than you might find here in Silicon Valley, where there's such a competition for talent.
Yeah.
So we see these entrepreneurs setting up their operations, coming into the valley, setting a second office up, and from that, kind of having that presence here as well as the connection back to Canada.
That's fabulous.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for your time
Yeah,
today.
you're
I
very
really
welcome, very
appreciate
welcome.
it.